Well, this week was a historic victory for America. The United States House of Representatives finally passed President Donald Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act with a razor-thin 218 to 214 vote, marking a monumental triumph for American sovereignty, economic prosperity, and the will of the people. This sweeping 940-page legislation, a cornerstone of Trump's second-term agenda, delivers on his campaign promises to secure the border, empower the working class, and unleash economic growth. Despite a ridiculous, record-breaking 8-hour and 44-minute speech by House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries to delay its passage, the bill's approval is a testament to Republican unity, Trump's unrelenting leadership, and the mandate of the 77 million Americans who voted for him in 2024. So let's look at the significance of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, its pros and cons, its impact on border security, tax policy, and the economy, and the grueling hurdles that had to be overcome to pass it. This was a hard-fought legislative victory. The passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act was a high-stakes battle, really, reflecting the intensity and polarization of Trump's America First agenda. The bill narrowly passed the Senate on June 29, 2025, with a 51 to 49 vote, thanks to Vice President J.D. Vance's tie-breaking vote, despite dissent from two Republicans. In the House, Speaker Mike Johnson faced a delicate balancing act with a slim GOP majority, navigating tensions over the bill's $3.4 trillion deficit, the impact it's going to have, and the cuts to Medicaid and SNAP. Intense negotiations, late-night sessions, and personal intervention by President Trump himself were really critical in securing the necessary votes. Trump's pressure on holdouts, including Representatives Victoria Spartz, Keith Self, and Andrew Clyde, paid off, with only Representative Brian Fitzpatrick voting against the bill alongside Representative Thomas Massey in the final tally. Something tells me those guys are going to have a really tough time getting reelected in their respective states. But ultimately, the process was a masterclass in political strategy and a testament to Trump's acumen as a negotiator. Now, of course, we had Hakeem Jeffries' record-breaking obstruction speech, which was really a desperate attempt to stall the inevitable. He delivered an 8-hour and 44-minute magic minute speech on the House floor, shattering the previous record set by former Speaker Kevin McCarthy in 2021. Beginning just before 4:53 a.m. on July 3rd, Jeffries used the House's magic minute rule, which allows party leaders unlimited speaking time, to delay the vote on the bill. He called the legislation one big ugly bill, accusing Republicans of ripping health care from Americans and targeting children, seniors, and veterans with cuts to Medicaid and SNAP. Armed with binders of constituent stories, Jeffries decried the bill as a crime scene and an all-out assault on working-class Americans, framing it as a giveaway to the wealthy. But what he really means by working-class Americans is illegal immigrants who will no longer receive taxpayer funding. This marathon speech was pure political theater, designed to energize the Democratic base and lay the groundwork for the 2026 midterms, where Jeffries hopes to position himself as the first Black House Speaker. However, it failed to flip any GOP votes and only strengthened Republican resolve. As Representative Andy Barr noted, Jeffries' grandstanding inspired one undecided Republican to become a firm yes, viewing the speech as a mockery of serious governance. Speaker Johnson dismissed it as irrelevant, stating it makes no difference whether our colleagues across the chamber speak for 25 minutes or 25 hours. They can't change the truth. Jeffries' stunt, while historic, was a futile gesture that underscored Democratic powerlessness against a unified GOP. Now, while not perfect, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act is bold. It's a pro-growth package that strengthens American sovereignty and rewards hardworking families. Its key provisions include border security, restoring law and order. The bill allocates substantial funding, estimated at over $175 billion, for border security and immigration enforcement, including border wall construction, expanded detention capacity, and increased ICE personnel. It supports Trump's mass deportation efforts, reversing the open border policies of the Biden administration that allowed millions of illegal crossings. This investment will protect communities, deter illegal immigration, and uphold the rule of law, fulfilling a core Trump promise that we voted for. Then we have no tax on tips and overtime. A cornerstone of the bill is this temporary elimination of federal income taxes on tips and overtime. This is going to become effective from 2025 to 2028. The no tax on tips provision allows tipped workers to deduct up to $25,000 annual from taxable income, benefiting waitresses, bartenders, and service industries workers. The overtime tax break encourages hard work among truckers, factory workers, and others, putting more money in their pockets. Trump championed these measures as incentives to boost labor participation and reward the working class. The other thing the bill does is it makes permanent the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, preventing a massive tax hike set to hit families, small businesses, and farmers in 2025. This extension lowers income tax rates across all brackets. Additional relief includes an increased child tax credit to $2,200, a $4,000 deduction for seniors on Social Security taxes, and a $10,000 deduction for interest on American-made car loans. The bill also introduces MAGA baby savings accounts, seeding $1,000 for newborns to invest in the stock market, fostering generational wealth there. These measures ensure economic stability and growth for millions. Then there's energy, defense, and infrastructure. The bill reverses Biden's green energy tax credits, redirecting resources to American energy dominance. And it allocates $150 billion to the Pentagon, including funds for Trump's Golden Dome defense shield. It also invests $12.5 billion to modernize the FAA's air traffic system and raises the state and local tax deduction cap to $40,000, providing relief to high-tax states. These provisions strengthen national security, infrastructure, and economic competitiveness, reinforcing America's global leadership. Now, there's a lot of great stuff in this bill, but like I said, it's not perfect. There are some cons, like the fact that the no tax on tips is a temporary provision that expires in 2028, which will leave its extension in the hands of a future president and Congress. Many are concerned about the $900 billion cuts to Medicaid and SNAP benefits, and of course, the major concern is the $3.4 trillion deficit the Congressional Budget Office estimates it will cost the United States over a decade. But that figure doesn't account for the dynamic economic growth that will offset much of that. This bill is poised to supercharge the economy, reducing the $36.2 trillion national debt through dynamic growth. The Tax Foundation's analysis suggests a $3.1 trillion revenue boost over a decade from a 0.8% GDP increase, lowering the bill's net deficit impact to $1.7 trillion. The Tax Cut and Jobs Act's permanence sustains the economic boom of Trump's first term, while tax breaks for tips and overtime fuel consumer spending. The White House disputes the CBO's projections, asserting that the bill's $2.6 trillion in revenue from growth combined with cuts to waste and fraud will deliver $1.6 trillion in deficit reduction. Estimates in defense or investments in defense, border security, and energy creates jobs and reduces reliance on foreign resources, further strengthening the economy and easing the debt burden over time. But ultimately, this is what 77 million Americans voted for when they elected President Trump. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act is a resounding victory for American sovereignty, delivering on Trump's promises to secure the border and reward workers, restore economic greatness. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Speaker Johnson, but he did say something I agree with, which was this big, beautiful bill fulfills all the promises in the America First agenda. It is the people's bill, shaped by the most diverse coalition of American voters in history. Despite Hakeem Jeffries' marathon speech and Fitzpatrick's dissent, the bill's passage showcases Republican resolve and Trump's leadership. This bill is really a bold step towards making America stronger, safer, and more prosperous. Its impact on border security, tax relief, and economic growth will resonate for generations, proving that an America First agenda can overcome obstruction and deliver results. And I think we're about to see America return to an era of true greatness. Just you watch.
Real beef.